It was supposed to be a quiet dinner, just the family, like old times. But old times hadn't existed in my world since I was 12. Since my parents decided my older sister Chelsea was the sun around which we all orbited, and I was just the extra, the spare, the invisible. Still, I showed up that night because my son begged me to. Tyler, my 7-year-old, thought Grandma and Grandpa were just a little busy. He didn't know what it meant when people looked right through you. When your mom stopped remembering your favorite meal, but somehow remembered exactly how Chelsea liked her steak rare, sea-salted, served on white china with gold trim. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. We were seated at the long oak table in their suburban home, the one Chelsea now claimed as her childhood castle. She was seated at the head of the table next to Dad. I was placed at the far end, a wobbly folding chair added for space. Tyler was beside me, his legs swinging under the table, eyes wide with excitement over the silverware set. It was his first time being invited to one of these family dinners. Chelsea sipped from a crystal glass, leaned back, and smirked. "Glad you could make it, Marissa. I didn't know if you'd be able to pull yourself away from your thrilling desk job." Mom chuckled. I didn't reply. I just helped Tyler cut his chicken. Halfway through the meal, I reached for the bread basket. Chelsea looked down her nose and said, Manners, Marissa. The host serves first. Didn't they teach you that in public school?" My father laughed with his mouth full. "She probably didn't have time. Always rushing somewhere, pretending she's got purpose." Tyler froze. His fork dropped. I bit down hard on the inside of my cheek and said nothing. Then it happened. Dessert was served. Everyone got a slice of the raspberry torte, Chelsea's favorite. I reached for my plate, the last one at the end of the line. Chelsea locked eyes with me, stood up dramatically, and swept my plate off the table. It shattered on the hardwood floor. "Oops," she said. "Dogs eat after family." There was silence. Then laughter. Not from Tyler, who was staring at the mess with trembling hands. Not from me, who couldn't even feel her face anymore. But from my mother, from my father, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Mom waved a dismissive hand. "Come on, Marissa. Don't be so sensitive. It's just a joke." Dad leaned over his plate, chuckling. "You know, that dog does more work than she does. Maybe she should be grateful she even got a plate." Tyler whispered, "Mom, can we go?" I didn't move. I looked at the raspberry smeared across the floor, the shattered china, the people I used to call family. I looked at Chelsea's manicured fingers wrapped around her wine glass like a queen toasting to her own cruelty. And something in me snapped. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't say a word. I stood up, placed my napkin on the table, took Tyler's hand, and walked toward the front door. "Leaving already?" Chelsea called after me. "You didn't finish your meal. Wait, oh, right, it's on the floor." Laughter again. That night, I tucked Tyler into bed without a word. He didn't ask questions. He just hugged me and said, "You don't deserve that." And for the first time in years, I believed it. Because the truth is, I'd spent my entire life eating scraps off their emotional table, being told to shrink so my sister could shine, told to give up space, voice, dignity, because Chelsea was born dazzling. But that night wasn't the end. It was the spark. Because I wasn't going to blog about it. I wasn't going to cry to friends who'd just say, "Family is complicated." No, this time I was going to flip the script. I was going to turn Chelsea's perfectly curated world into a stage and let her trip over her own heels in front of the world she so desperately wanted to impress. They thought they'd broken me. They had no idea I'd just started building something far more powerful than their approval. 3 days after the dinner, I received a group text from my mother. "Mom, Chelsea just got nominated for the State Etiquette Ambassador Award. We're planning a party. Black tie, adults only. Don't be dramatic, just RSVP." A photo was attached. Chelsea, smiling in a pearl-white dress, standing next to a local senator, hand poised over a crystal trophy. That was the moment I laughed, really laughed for the first time in years. Etiquette? The woman who fed her dog before her nephew, who shattered my plate and called me a mutt? The hypocrisy was so rich I could taste it. I didn't RSVP. I showed up anyway, but not in black tie. I showed up dressed in something Chelsea once told me made me look beneath her standards. A simple navy blue jumpsuit, no brand label, no makeup, hair in a low bun, the exact opposite of what they expected. Because I didn't come to be seen. I came to take back the narrative. The venue was a rented ballroom downtown, one of those nouveau riche places with fake gold trim, ice sculptures, and rented chandeliers. Chelsea was at the center, glowing under the lights, surrounded by the kind of people who clapped when rich people donated their leftovers. As I slipped in through the side entrance, unnoticed, I saw it. The slideshow. She had a 10-minute video on loop titled A Life of Grace, Chelsea Through the Years. Photos of her feeding stray dogs, one-time PR stunt, helping children at a shelter, they were our cousins' kids, teaching etiquette to a local youth group, me, at age 12, forced to curtsy for her in front of guests. They twisted me into part of her origin story, her practice doll. But now it was my turn to edit the ending. I waited until the lights dimmed for the awards speech. Then I made my way backstage, not where the speeches were given, but where the caterers were. Why? Because Chelsea's pride wasn't just in her awards or her looks. It was in her hosting, her belief that she knew exactly how a classy evening should taste. She had curated every item on the dinner menu. Each dessert was from a boutique bakery she'd spent a month boasting about online. And each one was topped with delicate sugar figurines shaped like, you guessed it, dogs. French bulldogs, to be exact, to match her own. I walked straight to the chef. "Hi, I'm Chelsea's sister. She asked me to help with plating the final round." He shrugged. "She seems the type. Go ahead." And while everyone toasted, while the governor began praising her with words like compassionate and elegant, I carefully replaced the labels on each tray of mini desserts. Every label, which had once said things like lemon silk tart and lavender honey swirl, now read, leftovers for the family dog. Dogs first, humans later. Feed the useful ones first. Expired, but it's fine, just serve her anyway. They weren't loud, but they were placed just beside the gold-plated forks, small enough to go unnoticed at first, until people started reading. Whispers rippled. Waiters slowed. One by one, guests began murmuring. Is this part of the theme? Did she mean to write this? What kind of etiquette joke is this? Chelsea stood at the podium, smiling blindly, unaware that her legacy was crumbling in real time behind her, until someone gasped. Then someone else said aloud, "Is this a reference to that viral post last month about someone feeding expired food to a child?" And that was my second move. A month ago, I'd anonymously submitted Chelsea's dinner stunt, the real one, to a popular storytelling Reddit thread under the title, "Aunt Feeds Her Niece Expired Dog Food While Her French Bulldog Gets Steak." It had gone viral. Not because it was shocking, but because it was real. I even included a photo of the plate shards, of Tyler's face. Tonight, those guests were putting the pieces together. And Chelsea was still smiling, unaware, until Dad leaned toward her and hissed, "What the hell is going on?" She blinked, then looked out at the crowd, at the stiff faces, at the trays, and finally at me. I raised a glass from the back of the room and winked. The mic squealed in her hand. She stumbled over her closing line, her cheeks flushed. Mom tried to get on the stage, but it was too late. Because someone else, a man in a tailored gray suit, was already standing. He was from the state office. "Chelsea Winters," he said, "is this some kind of satire? These labels? These stories? Are you mocking your own award?" She stammered, "No, that's not someone sabotaged. This is fake." But the whispers had turned into murmurs, the murmurs into cold glares. Her friends started pulling away. Her co-workers checked their phones. The Reddit thread was trending again, and now it had a name attached. Her name. That was the moment Chelsea finally understood what I had done. I didn't ruin her reputation. I let her own words do it. The labels were hers. The insults, the plate on the floor, the dogs eat after family, all real, all her. I just gave her audience the context she never thought they'd hear. I walked out before the rest of the fallout. I didn't need to see the breakdown, or the tears, or the speeches cut short. All I needed was the knowledge that for once, the girl who threw my plate wasn't at the head of the table anymore. 3 weeks after the etiquette gala collapsed, my phone lit up with a text from my mother. Mom, Chelsea's been having panic attacks since your little stunt. I hope you're happy. You embarrassed your own sister for what? I stared at it for a second. No apology, no admission. Just blame, just like always. They still didn't get it. Chelsea had made my child feel like a dog. She humiliated me, weaponized dinners, family gatherings, everything, and they all let her. They all laughed. So no, I wasn't going to feel bad for finally breaking the illusion. I didn't respond. Instead, I started making phone calls. I wasn't finished. Because Chelsea had another secret she thought was buried. 6 years ago, she had started a fake animal welfare charity just to impress a rich ex-boyfriend. It was never registered properly. She used the name Paws of Grace, put up a website, posted photos of her French bulldog, and claimed she was collecting donations to rescue neglected dogs from abusive homes. She raised over $40,000, then quietly deleted everything when the boyfriend dumped her. But the money? That didn't disappear. I knew where it went. Into a down payment for her new condo. I had the screenshots. I had the PayPal history. I had a message from a woman who donated $500 thinking she was helping a real shelter. I submitted a report not online, not through some expose or Reddit post. I hired a real investigator, sent the full package to the State Charity Regulation Board. And then, I moved out of my apartment. Not because I had to, but because I wanted them to know they'd never touch me again. I bought a little house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a tiny yard, nothing grand. But it was mine. And I hosted the first dinner there exactly 2 months later. I invited only 4 people. My old school friend Dana, who stood by me when I had no one. Tyler's music teacher, who treated him like gold when my own family treated him like trash. My former boss, now mentor, who once told me, "Let them call you the dog. At least dogs are loyal." And a woman named Evelyn, one of the original donors to Chelsea's fake charity. She'd never gotten her money back. She was 63 and still lived in a studio apartment. I invited her as an honored guest. And I served steak. Not for a dog. Not for Chelsea. But for Evelyn. And for Tyler, who sat at the head of the table in a little blue suit, smiling, surrounded by people who actually saw him. When I posted a single photo of the dinner, no context, no captions, Chelsea messaged me the next morning. "Chelsea, hope you enjoyed playing hostess, but you'll never be me." I replied with one line. "Me. Thank God." That same day, the state sent her an official letter. She was under investigation for charity fraud. The condo she bought with donor money? Frozen. Her etiquette influencer sponsorships dropped one by one as the story quietly spread through inner circles. No tabloids, no drama, just quiet blacklisting. The dog figurines she loved so much. Now she was left with one real bulldog, and a family name that made people squint before inviting her anywhere. But me? I finally lived free of them. My dinners weren't fancy. But every guest had a seat. Every child had a plate. And no one ate last because of their place in the family. That was the final revenge. Not just what I took from her, but what I built without her. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching